Hey, I'm James Coe. Welcome to the Warzone.
Let's get ready to rumble. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Hey yo, it's Phil Flames. I'm with Mike on the mic and Joe Morley. About to bring you more heat. Welcome to the war zone. You can have a floor seat. Watch them on your iPhone. Watch them on your Galaxy. It's a sports debate show. Straight up out of SoCal. Gather around the laptop. Friday nights it goes down. And we on the radio. Coming to your locale. Got into the third round. Better bring the smoke now. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Step into the 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 war zone. Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Warzone. I'm Joe Morley. This is my co-host Mike on the mic, and you guys probably recognize him from his days at the NFL Network. This is a four-time Emmy Award winner, and he loves to refer to himself as just a dude talking sports from Amazon Prime, DirecTV, and the host of his own podcast, The Fantasy Five. Now entering the Warzone, Mr. James Coe.
What's cracking, boys?
How's it going, man? We're excited to have you on today. I think you're officially he's the second guest in Warzone Sports Network history.
Oh, sick. Who was the first? I'm mad that I wasn't the first. What's going on here?
Well, we had it lined up last week, but we were kind of busy and our schedules didn't match up. But
there you go.
Well, we've had this show running for a little bit, but we just switched over to the Warzone Sports Network, which is
great
with us. But yeah, we have you this week, and then somebody you might know is coming on next week. Marcus Grant.
Oh, MG, my guy. That's cool. Yeah, that should be a great show too.
But we're glad to have you. We've been trying to chase you for a while, and our schedules finally match up. And I don't know, everybody should know you. I mean, I always bring you up, and people are like, "Oh yeah, James Coe, I know him."
I don't know, man. You know, I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm actually always shocked if anyone knows who the hell I am. I feel like I'm the Honda Accord of like sports, fantasy sports analysts. It's just kind of like, maybe I kind of sort of like you've seen me places, maybe, possibly, but not that. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not one of the heavy hitters in the biz, that's for sure. And I'm just out here just doing my thing, man. So honestly, I do actually get like legit surprised if like I'm walking around and someone's like, "Oh, hey," and I'm just like, I always assume that you think I'm somebody else actually. And then when somebody actually does recognize me for being me, I actually am like, holy crap, like I can't believe you actually recognize me on the street, which is crazy.
So people are often just like, I know you from somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, nah, I don't think you do. I think you're confusing me for the other Asian sportscaster dude,
Or you can make up like a story like how you met at a party years ago. And
right, man.
No, like it or not, I think if you're a celebrity, and I think a lot of people do, just because of what you've been on the TV and everywhere you've been. And I think you've met a lot of people yourself, and you just touched on it. I was going to ask you about like when you go out, how many people actually recognize you. You kind of touched on that. You've met a lot of people. You met some athletes. I saw a thing that you met was a Snoop Dogg at a Madden tournament.
Yeah, well, we did a broadcast together, and of course it was all done remotely. So I never actually did get to meet him, although this is a really random ass side story. But when I was in high school, college, he actually moved in across the street from my mom's house. So we were neighbors for a minute. And I brought that up on the stream too. And he's like, "Oh man, that's a trip. What a small world, blah, blah, blah." But, back then he was a little crazier, man. Like he was hotboxing the garage and playing video games. And I'm a high school kid. I was strictly forbidden from going over to Snoop's house. You know what I'm saying? Because that dude he was blazing it up in his garage, bro. So, and yeah, man, they would have parties and stuff and it was cool. But, I actually never actually got to go over there. Unfortunately, man, I'm sad about it.
There was probably a lot more celebrities over there at the time with them as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like like my little bro, he actually played a little hoops with Warren G, because Warren G was coming over to visit Snoop, and my brother was outside, hooping a little, and Warren G wanted to just, I don't know, shoot around a little bit. So yeah, no, it was kind of a weird sitch, man. But no, it was cool. Yeah, Snoop is great, man. He's a lot of fun, no doubt.
Oh man, that's a great story. Like, yeah, it does suck to be a high school kid and just be able to, like, watching it, huh? Like, man, come on, just let me go over there one time. One
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, let me just roll up. Let me just pull up, dude. Like, let's see what's going on. Like, if it was today, like, oh, I'd be pulling up, like, no doubt. But like,
Knocking
oh
on the
man,
garage.
like, yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
I'm
yeah. But it's like, man, when you're like 16, 17 and everything, it's like, and your folks are like, yeah, no, you can't be doing that. I'm like, all right, it's cool. But I regret it though. I should have gone regardless.
You're at school telling your friends like you won't believe what Snoop was doing last night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's the thing though, like, like for him, it's like the stuff that he was like rapping about, like that was real life for him though. It wasn't an act.
Yeah.
Like he really was doing Snoop Dogg type things. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, man, it was cool.
He's all rapping about hot box in the garage on a Saturday night. You're like, yeah, he did that. I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. You know what I
Like,
mean?
yeah. Was that like the biggest celebrity that you've ever been starstruck by, or like athlete? Like, because I mean, we're all human beings, so there's always that one person that we're like,
Um, man, like I don't know, like it's been a minute since that's really happened to me. Although I will, like, I really recall like really positive interactions that I've had with like athletes and stuff, because so many of them are kind of crappy. Um, but like I remember LaDainian Tomlinson at NFL Network in particular was, oh my gosh, he is legit the nicest dude. I remember we did a show, and I had compared Le'Veon Bell. I forgot when this was. It might have been like 2015 or something. I was like, oh, Le'Veon Bell is like LaDainian 2.0. And so then I saw LaDainian in the locker room, after the show. I was like, hey, LT, I just compared Le'Veon Bell to you. I hope you don't mind. Oh man, thank you so much, bro. Like, no, no, it's an honor. He's balling, so no, it's cool. And then he takes a pause, a couple breaths, and he kind of like smiles, and he says, "But let me know when that young cat throws a couple touchdowns." Because I don't know if you guys remember, but LT back in the day, man, I think he's got like 6 or 7 touchdown passes, man. So like he could actually throw it a little.
That's actually pretty cool to hear because growing up, I grew up a 49ers fan because my dad was a 49ers fan. But when I was around 8 or 9, I started to fall in love with the Chargers because of LaDainian Tomlinson and Philip Rivers
Yeah,
and Vincent Jackson. But that's
yeah,
a cool
yeah.
story to hear because he's talking about times that would be my best Sundays back in the day when I was a kid, throwing touchdown passes. That's cool.
no,
Yeah, man. LaDainian's a cool cat, man. Like he's legitimately, I met a lot of athletes over at the network, and I would say I have no problems in saying hands down he's the nicest guy that I met over there.
That's awesome.
see, I think that's cool because I always tell Mike the story. I don't haven't met a lot of athletes, but I've met, going through LAX and doing stuff. I actually got to meet LaDainian Thompson
Oh,
because, like you
sick.
said, so I'm standing there in the airport and I'm like, who's this guy in a nice suit? I go, that's LT. So I was like, I didn't want to draw attention to him. So I'm like, hey, you're LT, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, and I'm a Raider fan. I go, man, this is all after he's already working for the NFL Network. I go, why you got to run all over the Raiders like that, man? Why you got to make us look bad every time you took the field? And and I tell Mike, I go, and then people started coming up, so I kind of backed away. As we're loading the plane, right? I don't get to sit first class like some people. I'm not rich like that. As we're loading the plane, I'm walking in, and he's sitting there in his first class seat or whatever. And I
Right,
walk
right.
by, and he stops me, and he goes, "Hey, Raiders are going to be good this year." He goes, I like what they're doing. And I think this was in 2016, the year when, where Carr got hurt. So, I mean, he called it, but I tell people to this day, I go, he did not have to stop me. Like, he could have just
No,
put his headphones back in and just, I go, that's the nicest interaction. And so it's funny that you brought him up because he is somebody that I always like, I've met, certain people. And that's one of the guys that I'm like, as a Raider fan, I'll still, I'll to this day. And we brought him up we're on this app called Sports Me, where it's basically like we debate 30 seconds face to face, and they brought it up, who's the best running back in league history. And I go, well, it depends on when you grew up, but I grew up watching LaDainian Tomlinson, so he's up there. And like you said, he's thrown 6-7 touchdown passes, so it adds a little bit to that.
Oh yeah, man. I think when you talk about running backs, quarterbacks, or whatever, you have to talk about eras, because the rules have changed so much, and just offensive schemes and stuff have changed so much. But yeah, man, like in that time, give me LaDainian, and to be honest with you, LaDainian was the precursor to all these running backs today. Like you had to be able to be like like nowadays you have to be multifaceted. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like Ron Dane back in the day, just bashing it between the tackles, off tackle or whatever. Like nah, like you got to be able to catch the ball. You got to be able to pass block. You got to be able to run routes. Like LaDainian was doing that way before, I don't want to say before other people, because, there's other guys like Larry Sanders, stuff who has 100 catches or whatever. But like LaDainian was doing it, and he was doing it at such an incredibly high level that he did legitimately change the game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so when I think about like guys who are GOATs, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at dudes who changed the game and were also ridiculously productive as well. And that's LaDainian in a nutshell. You know what I mean? So yeah, when you talk about, GOAT running backs, man, give me LaDainian for that era for sure.
Yeah. And thinking about how he's influenced the game, and, me as a kid growing up watching him as just purely a fan. I mean, I played football in high school and stuff, but it didn't get to the level that these running backs are today in the NFL. How many running backs do you think today got a lot of their inspiration for their game from LaDainian Tomlinson growing up? Because all those guys are like my age. I'm 23, so they're all maybe 23, 27 in that range. All those guys probably looked up to LaDainian Tomlinson that are running backs in the NFL today.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. 100%, and like I said, I think his impact on today's game, I mean, it's like, you couldn't have Maurice Jones-Drew without LaDainian, and like, and then like all these guys started piling in and like starting to do this. Le'Veon Bell was this dude when he was with the Steelers, right? Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, man, like, when we start talking about guys that are, great running backs, I mean, that's what it starts with. You start talking about, multifaceted skill sets and everything. And I think LaDainian, like I said, when, the guy's scoring 30 plus touchdowns a season or whatever, like, yeah, like he's the guy,
Yeah, you're talking about changing the game. LT changed the game, but there's a new thing coming out that's changing the game, and we call them next-gen stats, right? The next-gen stats, I know you work for Amazon. We all saw Amazon commercials where they're like, the probability of this catch right here was 1 point. Like, those are great commercials. And for all you guys watching at home that don't know what next-gen stats are, what they do is they capture the real-time location data, speed, acceleration for every player, and on every play of every inch of the football field. So in the Super Bowl, they'll tell you that Patrick Mahomes ran for over 400 yards. And really, he was just running for his life, but he ran for over 400 yards. That's the stuff that they keep track of. James, I have a question for you, because Daniel Jeremiah came out a couple days ago, and he said in a couple years from now, the 40 times nobody will care about. Nobody's going to care about it because they're going to have so much data on these computers, and you can actually see what these players are doing in real life game time conditions. What do you think about next-gen stats, and are they taking over the scouting?
I think, raw data, raw numbers will always have a place. I love DJ. DJ is one of the nicest humans on planet Earth, and also one of the most intelligent and knowledgeable about the game. What he says carries a ton of weight. And honestly, when he said that, I never really even thought about that. But when I started thinking about it, though, I don't know, like you got to push the timeline out. I think, I think we still might be, maybe 30 years away from the 40 time not mattering. But honestly, the combine at this point has become sort of a tradition. So it's almost like when you're saying that, not only are you toppling 40 times, but you're also toppling the combine itself, because the 40 time is the crown jewel of the combine, right? So like, are people going to be, is the media, our scouts, our fans, our players, are they going to be willing to forego that tradition? And my answer would be no, right? And it has nothing to do with what DJ said, which is scouts aren't going to care. That might be probably, more true. But if, like, for example, like if there's microchip data and tracking data that tells you, okay, like Tyreek Hill, for example, let's say in like a game, his top speed was like, I don't know, like let's just say in a game it was like 22 miles an hour or something, right? But when he goes to the combine and his 40 time, he's running, 26 miles an hour. You tell me that's not going to make a difference? That will make a difference. And I think that will make a difference a lot, because it also depends on, for wide receivers, what routes are these guys running? How often are they getting free release off the line, right? Like there's so many factors that go into game speed. And it's because it's crazy, right? Like, there are dudes that are crazy fast, but when you look at their next gen stats tracking data, it's like, oh, their top speed in 2020 was, 21 miles an hour, which is like average. Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, so much of that is like, are they getting pressed at the line? Like, are they running go routes even? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, how about if like half their routes are like slants and hitches, right? Like you're never going to reach top speed that way, right? Like that just doesn't happen. So I think that kind of stuff does matter. And I think the 40 time will matter to a lot of people. And I think there is value in that. Although, can I add one caveat to that? The one thing I don't understand is why are these guys doing these drills in their skivvies? Like, put them in pads.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know what this dude is running in pads. Like, I want to know what his vertical is in pads. Like, that's what matters, right? Yeah. Like, some guys, you put pads on them, they can't run, right? Like, and other guys, it's like, it's just different. You know what I mean? So the one thing that I wish that they would normalize is putting these dudes in pads. You know what I'm saying? And like, and trying to figure out what their times might be in that regard.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between game speed and just straight line 40-yard dash speed. An example that I like to use when I'm talking about this kind of stuff with people, especially like the 40-yard dash versus game speed, is when Odell came out. Odell in New York, yes, he obviously had a very fast 40-yard dash time as well. But what impressed me most about Odell those early years was his game speed. He almost made the right cut every time and did it twice as fast as anyone else at the time. And that always impressed me. To bring up another point with game speed, I'm interested to see how competitively the coaches and players and everyone in the future are going to use the next gen stats within the game. And are they going to be allowed to?
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing to me, right? Like, Odell ran like a mid 4.4, right? Yeah. Which is fast, but it's not like, oh my God, fast. No, yeah. But like, where does this guy excel? Right? Like his where he really excels are slants. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that is Odell's route. Like, getting this dude on a slant and watching him go, like, forget it, right? Like, that's where he's the best. Like, and I know he's talked about like, I want to be a downfield guy, throw me some downfield shots. And like, we know that his famous one-handed grab was, down the sideline. Okay, I get that. But where he is an exceptional player is on slants, which, and again, what I say is those times don't necessarily, short area burst is what matters on a slant or a hitch or all these like little quick outs or whatever it is, right? Like, in route running, of course, too. And his route running and his setups are incredible. Mm-hmm. The 40 time matters the most when we're talking about just getting down the field, Exactly. And Odell Beckham has good speed, not like, oh my God, speed to get downfield, but it's his slants and the way he sets up those routes. That's what gets him open. Mm-hmm. And to your point, like, yeah, the 40 time doesn't matter when a guy's best weapon is a slant route. You know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting point. Like, what are you drafting the guy for? I think that will matter a lot. And what's his upside? You know what I mean? So, but again, it does. I will say this too. Like, let's say Odell ran like, let's just say a receiver. I don't want to say Odell, but let's just say a receiver who was highly productive in college. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's really good. And he goes to the combine and he runs a 4.6. Like, you kind of sort of need to go back and look at the tape and be like, is he that good though? You know what I'm saying? So I think, like I said, 40 times only matter when there is a huge discrepancy in the time versus what we thought of him as a player.
Yeah, I'm there with you. And we got to be careful calling wide receivers slant slant guys. I don't know why they get mad at that, but if you can catch a good slant and go, that's telling you're a good wide receiver. Like Michael Thomas gets mad when you call him slant boy, but that means that they're getting you because they know you can make the play. They know Odell Beckham can make the play. That's good. But I think the 40 times don't really, like you said, it doesn't affect the players that we know that can run, that have the speed. The only time that you really see it help somebody at the combine is those players that come in and you think they run a 4.8 or a 5 and they run a 4.4. That's when you're like, oh, dang, we got to go check the tape again. But I think the 2020 year, the COVID, everybody being at home kind of changed a little bit of the game. And, they did the whole draft virtual this year. So maybe it is changing in just a little bit.
And route running is an art. That's what I've always told people. Route running is an art. You can run a slant 100 different ways. You can run a slant 100,000 different ways. I bet you Odell's probably invented new ways to run a slant route that people use and say, hey, that's how you run a slant route.
Yeah, no doubt, man. His setups, hand motion, his choppy steps, like all that stuff matters. And I'm no film grinder, right? I've just watched a lot of football in my life, but yeah, man, like Odell is, he's different, like his twitchiness is at the line is something else, like you could try pressing him if you want, but it generally doesn't work, so it's kind of like pick your poison with him. But yeah, it's interesting sometimes with these guys that run shorter routes. It's still timing based, and so much of it is chemistry based. It's not like there's like an internal clock. It's not like a quarterback can see it and rip it. Like that's not generally not how these work, right? Like there has to be some timing involved. And I think Odell has suffered from that playing with some of the quarterbacks that he's played with. I think they're not like Daniel Jones to me is not really a timing based quarterback. Baker obviously is not a timing based quarterback. I'm not saying that they're not good quarterback. Well, I don't think Daniel Jones is a very good quarterback, but Baker, I think is fine. I think Baker's an above average quarterback. He has the requisite arm strength. I like his outside the pocket, athleticism and all that. But one thing he can't do though, man, I just, and maybe this will change. I don't know. Every player can grow, but from what I've seen, I don't see him as a timing based guy. He needs to see it and then rip it. And that's where he does the best. That's where he does his best work. And I think that doesn't work with somebody like Odell Beckham.
I'm with you on that. That's why I'm excited to see where Odell lands next. Whether it's going to be this season, right before the trade deadline, what it's going to be.
Bro, put him with Tom Brady. Forget it. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
That dude's putting up 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns easy every single year. You know what I mean? Like you can't stop that. Like you can't stop that. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, he needs to get with the guy. I mean, or hell, swap him out with Michael Thomas, like have him play with Drew Brees, 2-3 years ago. Like forget about it, dude. Like he's definitely putting up, 120 catches, 1,500 yards and 15 tutties. Like that's easy, like he needs to work with a quarterback like that.
And I'm hearing, and Joe hates it when I bring him up. I'm hearing that Chargers might be interested in moving on from Mike Williams as wide receiver 2.
And what, Odell going over there?
Herbert to Odell, Herbert to Allen. There we go.
Well, it's funny. I don't know what to make of Herbert yet. Like I love Herbert, and I was higher on Justin Herbert than damn near anybody. I'm a Pac-12 guy, right? Like I'm a huge Cal fan, and I've watched a crazy amount of Justin Herbert games, mostly where he's just ripping apart Cal. But I'm like, I don't really understand. Like, I'm like watching this dude. I'm like, how is there any criticism on this guy? Like, I mean, I get that he went in the top 10, but like everyone bringing up the fact that he can't do this or can't do that. I'm like, bro, this guy can make every play. Like, I don't understand. Yeah. He's got the requisite mobility, I'm like confused. Like, have people watched this guy outside the pocket? Like, he's ridiculous, dude. Well, I don't get it.
I think the only reason that he wasn't the first quarterback taken that year is because Joe Burrow just shattered every single record in the spotlight, went on to the national championship. It was just kind of like in the spotlight. But like you're saying, how did the scouts not look at a 6'6" guy with arm strength like Josh Allen, but is running around like Cam Newton and then go,
you know what I mean?
He's not a top 5 pick.
I don't get it. I do not understand it, like, and people pointed to the accuracy issues, and like, And I get that, but it's like, who the hell was he throwing to at Oregon, bro? Like a bunch of like 5'9" receivers? Get out of here, bro. Like it's like what the Chargers have. Like team them up with like a Mike Williams or like Keenan Allen. Like forget about it, man. Like set it and forget it, dude. Like this guy's gonna ball. Like it don't make no sense to me at all. You know what I mean? Like he's throwing to a bunch of 5'10" receivers at Oregon. Like stop it, man. Like it don't make sense, dude. Like yes, he's gonna struggle sometimes. I get that, but come on, bro. Let's make it happen.
Well, now I remember that you went to Cal and you went to Berkeley, and so now you're a big fan. You got the Aaron Rodgers from there. You got Marshawn Lynch. But
yeah.
Let me ask you about another Pac-12. I still call it the Pac-10. I'm not used to calling it the Pac-12 yet. I'll get there. So I'll get there. But Sam Darnold, what's your thoughts on Sam Darnold? That's a big thing right now.
I think Sam Darnold to me is somebody. I mean, look, his NFL career has been a lot like what his USC career was. This is a guy that can make every throw. I think he has patches where he gets extremely inconsistent. And I think he kind of sort of gets down on himself in games too, and I think that's also played out in the NFL, but he's a streaky quarterback. He can, again, he's a guy that can make every throw, man. Like he's got the requisite arm strength. He can do all the things. And when he gets hot, forget about it. Like the dude can deal. That being said, I think he makes he's got a lot of Jameis in him, Jameis Winston, where he just makes some throws where you're like, brother, what are you looking at right there? Like you're staring down a receiver. He's triple covered. Get off of that guy, please get off of that guy, and it's like and then he realizes like, okay, I can't throw it. So I'm going to take a sack, or he doesn't get off of it and he throws it. And it's the worst pick you've ever seen in your entire life. Players like that don't get off of certain reads and cannot adjust. I think that's not something that can be coached out. I just think that's human instinct. You've got 300-pound linemen bearing down on you. You've got exactly, you have 3 seconds or less in the NFL to make a decision, unless you're super mobile. And that's not Darnold. Like he's a good athlete, but he's not an extremely mobile quarterback, right? So he's got 3 seconds or less to make a decision. And when you look at the decision-making process throughout his collegiate and professional career, at this point, I don't think, and I get that he's still a young man, but I think at this point you can say that's probably not going to change very much. And to me, I think that's a big red flag. And I don't think you can win, 12, 13 games, go deep in the play. I don't think you can win with a quarterback like that. There's too many turnovers and too many plays where you're just like, oh my God, what are you doing? And by the way, it's not the turnovers necessarily. It's the kind of turnovers that he has where you're like, oh my God, you're just, as a fan, you're just doing this where you're just like, you're rubbing your eyes like, oh my God. Now think about if that's a fan reaction. Now think about what his teammates are doing, right? Like to me, that's where I'm saying like the kind of interceptions and the kind of fumbles and the kind of turnovers that you have make a difference, where if you're the leader of this team, the quarterback position, and you make those plays and your team is looking at you like, oh my Lord, what was that all about? That's not good. Like, to me, I think that has a bigger impact than the actual turnover itself. The team is now looking at you like, can this dude get it done? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think the negative impacts there, the emotional impacts of those kind of turnovers, I think have a lot of forbearing on whether or not you can succeed as a quarterback in this league.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Dewey Cox, but there's a line out of Dewey Cox that I love to use. And it works good for like Sam Darnold when they're in the, he could be in the huddle and his teammates will be like, you guys believe in me? They're like, we do believe in you. We just know you're going to fail. Like, like that was like one of the best lines I ever saw in the Dewey Cox movie. But yeah, I just brought up Sam Darnold because everybody talks. This is the offseason of the quarterbacks. I think it is. Yeah. I mean, last year we saw so many free agent quarterbacks. Tom Brady was a free agent. He went somewhere. This year, the quarterbacks have been moving around like crazy. So it's fair to say that we won't see Sam Darnold on the Madden cover, right? We won't see him on Madden 20. It's Madden 22. Dang. I remember Madden's been a game that's changed a lot of lives, got a lot of kids into football that normally don't watch football. And to me, like that's where I learned a lot of players. Like I'm a Raider fan, but playing Madden, like I learned like we just saw Chad Henne, right? Chad Henne's the backup for the Kansas City Chiefs. When he came in to the game, I was like, don't sleep on Chad Henne. Why? Because I used to win Super Bowls with Chad Henne because he was cheap on the salary cap in Madden. That's why. I don't know why. I just said it, and it worked out. But I know that that you've worked for EA Sports. You've done a couple of the tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So why not? Let's get into it. They haven't announced it yet. I haven't seen it, right? So who's going to be on the cover of this year's Madden 22?
God, it'd be what a story it'd be if Aaron Rodgers was back on there. You know what I mean? League MVP and doing those kind of things. And certainly he had a tremendous season, great season, and was well deserving of that of his third MVP. So you know he might be there. Patrick Mahomes certainly will be in the mix as well. And you know, quite frankly, why not Tom Brady? You know, the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like why not put the old man on the cover? I don't know if he sells extra copies. You know, maybe they're trying to go with some young cat that's going to sell some copies, you know. So I don't know, but I tell you what, before Juju just had an absolutely disastrous season, you know, like I'm sure he was one of the guys that they wanted to put on the cover, like he would have been dope, you know, but yeah, his season was absolutely awful. So can't put him on there. I'm trying to think, man, like Derrick Henry's an interesting guy, you know, like he'd be worthy of a Madden cover. I don't think there were any defensive dudes like Richard Sherman back in the day that like, you know, that you could put up there, you know.
What about Devontae Adams?
Devontae was amazing, but I think most people look at it like, oh, that's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fair or unfair, you know what I mean? But because Devontae's an amazing player. But God, talk about a player that's developed, man. You guys remember his first couple years in the league? Like the dude couldn't play. I mean, that was the MO, like, oh, he has too many drops, he can't play, you know? And it's like all of a sudden, like this guy's like one of the top 2 or 3 wide receivers in the game, man. Like props to him for sticking with it and just developing as a player, you know, like that's awesome.
Him and A-Rod make it look like they're playing on rookie mode in Madden in real life. It's absolutely ridiculous how great that connection has developed between those two. I would like to see personally Derrick Henry on the cover. I think that would be awesome. I just know the running back window closes quickly. And in my opinion, he's one of the best I've watched in my life. The combination of his size, his power, and his speed shows every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, damn, I didn't know Derrick Henry was that fast. Jeez, he's just flying down the sideline, especially those 99-yard runs a couple years ago against Jacksonville.
Oh, my God.
Flying down the sideline, just throwing people around. Ridiculous.
Those are so nasty. Oh, my God, dude. Those highlights are disgusting, bro. You know what's funny, though? I almost wonder too, like, I wonder if like EA would shy away from like running backs because running backs do have a tendency to break down. Mm-hmm. Right. So like, and you know about the whole Madden Curse and all these things, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, like it'd be crappy if they put Henry on there and like, then he has a bad season or gets hurt or whatever, you know, and then everyone's like, oh, see, Madden Curse, Madden Curse.
That's how it works.
Even though it doesn't really make sense, right? Because like it's like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is on the cover and then he won the damn Super Bowl, you know. So it's like there's no curse, but people want to say there's a curse. You know what I mean?
Hey, Antonio Brown broke the curse as well. He won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, bro. 100%.
Yeah, they had a bad run with the Madden cover, the Madden Curse. Because I was going to ask you about that if you believed in it, but looks like you don't. Because I mean, at one point everybody was buying into it, but I think it's gone. The last couple of seasons, it's been fine. It's been all right. Like you said, Patrick Mahomes, everybody was like, ugh. Lamar Jackson, everybody was like, oh, come on, man. So yeah, I think that's gone. We don't have to worry about that. I mean, the only defensive player that I could think of, and that's probably one of the greatest defensive players that we've ever seen is Aaron Donald, but are they really going to put him on the cover?
Probably not. I mean, I think Sherman was the only player to be on the cover of Madden, I believe. And he was on a double cover because it was him and somebody else. I forgot who else it was.
Yeah.
That was on the cover. but he was on a double cover.
I think that was
and
Odell.
Can't
Was that
remember.
Odell and him?
I don't remember. No, I feel like Odell had his own. I'm pretty sure Odell had his own. This is before Odell. This is before Odell. This is definitely before, because this was Legion of Boom, like before the catch. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember who else was on there, man. The name escapes me. I could look it up obviously on Google, but yeah, no.
They could do a dual cover this year with Tom Brady being like a Legends Edition cover, and then have another younger athlete as well if they want to still have Tom Brady on the cover who just won the Super Bowl paired with a young cat, like you said, for the marketing standpoint of the league. They could possibly go that way. I know Ray Lewis was on a cover a long time ago when I was a child.
Oh, you know what?
Now we're aging
Right.
ourselves.
That might be it. Sherman and Lewis are probably the only two defensive players.
I think you're right, man. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe it was Lewis who was on a dual cover. Was it Lewis and Eddie George? I don't know, man. Now I'm just talking out of pocket now. I don't know. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Richard Sherman was on. I just looked this up. Richard Sherman was on the cover of Madden 15.
Okay, yeah. Odell was like
yeah,
a couple years after that.
They need to start putting some like no names on the cover. They did it one time with Peyton Hillis.
Oh yeah, dude. Talk about the Madden Curse, bro. Like Peyton Hillis, rando ass Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden, and then it was just like he just fell off. Oh my god.
Maybe the Madden Curse is more just EA picking the wrong guy to grace the cover than it is a curse.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like I think that's why they kind of want to shy away from running backs, because like running backs do have a tendency, you know what I'm saying, to like have like a 2-3 year stretch where they're good and then they fall off. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, man. Like I just feel like maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, they got Shawn Alexander also. LT breaks record
Shawn's
the next year. Shawn Alexander just goes away.
They just need to show some love to the Raider Nation. Put somebody on there from the Raiders, please.
Ooh.
I don't care. Put Derek Carr on there. He deserves it.
No.
I just want to see a Raider for one time on Madden.
Someone's gonna have to ball. Like, trust me, they would love nothing more than put a Raider on there, but somebody's got a ball, man.
They could pull a 2K. They could throw Derek Carr on the cover as a Raider, like they did with Anthony Davis, and then gets traded while the game's like being released. They had to change all the branding to Anthony Davis and the Lakers.
Ooh,
not good.
So James, you've done a lot of these tournaments. Are they as intense as like real life games? Like, do these players like get into it real hardcore?
Oh my God, yeah, man. It's worse. It's way worse than your home game. At least on your home game, there's like some level of mutual respect and like having fun, but like the level of disrespect on some of these games, you're like, bro, like I'm like, bro, like if that happened at your house, it's like, screw it, we got to fight now. Like, you know, like we just got to fight. Like you can't be talking to me like that, you know, like it's like, I don't want to fight, but I guess if you're going to talk to me like that, I guess we have to, like, just to be a man about it. You know what I mean? Like you can't be disrespecting me to that level. Like, but it's crazy because like these are all like these games, you know, there's like officials and there's like moderators and stuff, and like you know what I mean, like, but oh my God, man, sometimes the level of disrespect is so crazy, you know. But you know what's interesting though, like Madden EA has tried to curb that a little, and I kind of wish they didn't. Like it's actually sometimes it's like so funny to like listen to the trash talk and like. And that's what I actually enjoy, that aspect of it, just to kind of see the human emotion. I kind of wish they didn't do that. Although I think it kind of sort of goes back to like, and I hate to say it, but like, you know, the tragic incident in Jacksonville, you know, like they don't want things to escalate to a point where, look, trash talk has nothing to do with what happened in Jacksonville, because the dude in Jacksonville had, you know, it was like some kind of mental illness thing for him, right? But like, you know, they still don't want to like escalate to the point where like violence is like an option. You know how I just said like, hey, yo, if you're gonna talk like that, we gotta fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want it to like escalate to that level. You know what I mean?
Or it comes out on the field in one of the games, the actual game. Like, remember that Madden tournament we played in against each other? Yeah, we're gonna do some Odell stuff in the actual game. Who's the best Madden player out of the players, the active players? Because I've heard and what I've witnessed from watching tournaments myself, that is Derwin James. And I would like for it to be Derwin
It's
James.
Derwin James, and there's not even a close second. Like there's all these. First of all, let me just tell you something. Every NFL dude thinks they are a G at Madden.
Yeah.
And then it's like they play any even like low level like professional gamer and they just get their doors blown off.
Yeah.
Right. But Derwin James has played a gauntlet, like a ridiculous number of players that are good at the game. And he has absolutely shredded them. So it's Derwin's in a weird class because like he's in a class by himself. Like he's like one of the best just casual players out there. He's definitely 100% better than every single NFL player out there. 100%. I mean, I don't know. I get maybe there's some random long snapper who's like dope at the game. I don't know, right? But like of like your like superstar players, like dude, he crushes everyone. It's crazy. Like he played Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's like legit at the game. Like he crushed him. Tyreek Hill, good at the game. Absolutely manhandled him. Like he's just destroying these cats. And it doesn't. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't matter what version of the game it is. He's just that good at it. You know what I mean? Like I remember, you know, last year's game was a run heavy approach, you know, like you have to run the ball to be able to win. He could do that, you know, but this year's game, it's like, oh yeah, you got to be able to, it's a little bit more balanced, you know, you got to be able to throw the ball again. And it's like, yeah, he could do that too. You know what I mean? So no, Derwin's legit, but it's crazy. Cause then when he played, who did he play? He played Jay Wall after the club championship. And Jay Wall just, I mean, it was all gas, no brakes, man. Like, I think he beat him like 65 zippers. Like, it was like bad, you know? And Jay Wall's a great player. Don't get me wrong. Jay Wall's a great player. Obviously, he just won the club championship, but he's not going to be like one of these like all-time GOATs, you know, like young Kiv or Drini or whatever, you know? Yeah. I think he might have even beat Drini in that tournament. But when we're talking all-time great players, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like anyone who thinks they could step to one of these top dudes, you're tripping. Like they could beat you 85 zip if you know, if they wanted to.
If the game's close, they're keeping it close for entertainment value. I hope Derwin James's amazing Madden play has no correlation to him not being able to play very often in the actual NFL. Derwin James is actually my favorite current active player, and I always get asked like, why Derwin James? He's never on the field. It's because you guys haven't seen what I've seen, that when this man is on the field, he is a freak of nature.
He's nasty. He needs to stay healthy, man.
Yeah, he'd probably be one of the best linebackers in the league. He'd be one of the best cover safeties in the league. He'd probably be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. The dude's a freak of nature.
Yeah, James, he's a freak.
Do you play Madden yourself?
I play a little bit, man, but I've been so rusty on the sticks, dude. Like if I played anybody right now, I'd get manhandled, dude. And like that's the other thing too. It's like you kind of have to sort of like I don't know, people like want to dog on Madden and say, oh, it's the same game every year. It's like that's just not true. You know, it's like there's so many functions that are different, like, you know, being able to work it. It's just not true. Like I guess I don't understand the criticism, you know. And by the way, it's like, okay, yeah, I did work for them. That's like, I don't work for them now. Like I could speak freely. Like, I don't care, you know, but like, and I don't really understand. I guess I don't understand the criticism, you know, it's like, oh, it's the same game every single year. It's like, yeah, but it's not though. You know, it's like, I mean, I guess you could say that about anything that's like a franchise, you know, is Halo 2 the same as Halo 3 is the same as Halo 4? Like, not really, you know, like they're different. They have different game mechanics, you know, like they look the same. Yeah, sure. But they're different because they've got different game mechanics. And so when you ask me like, oh, can I play a little bit? Like I cannot play, like, because I haven't spent the time to learn the game mechanics of the most recent edition, you know. Like I just play casually just to like play, you know, just to kind of like, and you know, you talk about learning the players. I think that's a big thing. But you know what else too? Like you actually learn about the actual game. Like you learn about dagger routes, you learn about slants and hitches and stuff. You know what I mean? Like concepts, like you learn about passing concepts, you learn about cover 2, you learn about cover 3, like, and you learn about the actual game of football playing Madden. And so that's kind of sort of why I play, because I love the actual game of football. And when I play Madden, I feel like I'm actually learning something. I mean, even going through those stupid practice modes, it's like, they teach you like, oh, here's your primary on this passing concept, or like, this is what you want to get done in cover 3 or whatever, like, I think you just learn a lot. And then when you watch these pro players and then they're talking about it too, and it's like, for example, like Skimbo is like one of the great teachers of this game, like he starts talking to you about like, zone assignments and all those kind of things. Like, that's why I'm always like, hey man, like if I'm an NFL owner, like I would just bring in one of these top dogs and just like have him just like work Madden games with my franchise quarterback, because then it's like, okay, you're learning a playbook and then you're also learning concepts. Like, all right, here's your primary. If this linebacker drops back here, you gotta come off and go this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they actually understand from 30,000 feet up, like what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, you could criticize them all you want and say like, oh, it's not the real game. I get it's not the real game, but like the mental aspect of understanding the game, they have such a firm grasp on that I would want to bring in that intellectual property. What gamer is going to say no to that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, imagine like Pavin, who's like a 4-time Raiders Club champion. Like, imagine like Davis calls him up and like, yo, can you work with Derek Carr or whatever? He's going to say no to that? Hell no, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could bank him off like $50K and he'd do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that would like $50K to the Raiders is like nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's nothing.
They can win
like,
that back.
That's what I would do. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would do if I was an owner. I'd like call up one of these kids.
You're onto something, because I'm trying to remember who it was. There was a quarterback that said that he learned a lot of the stuff, a lot of the coverages and stuff that he was looking for off of playing Madden. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody said that. See, I always like doing the GM stuff. That was my thing. I didn't like playing the games on Madden. I like building the team, how they went. That was my thing. But if I had to pick 2 players all-time Madden to play with, it'd be Michael Vick, of course, and Greg Jennings, because Greg Jennings puts his team on his back.
On his back. That's a deeper cut, though, bro. Like, there's gonna be some listeners that have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Darren Sharper, one of the greatest. Get on my back, dude. Come on, bro. Who is that guy, man? Like, does that guy still make videos? Because that dude was, oh my god, he was so funny, bro.
I'm sure he does. He has to.
But,
I hope he does, man. He was one of the best. Like, because he was like a content creator. Like, he was like an OG. Like, he did that way before. You know what I mean? Like, I think he must have recorded that like on his flip phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, he was sick with it.
I looked it up a couple weeks ago, I think, for something, and it was all grainy and all that. But I was like, yeah, it's still one of the best. I don't care what the quality is. It's still one of the best videos I've ever seen.
And then the crazy thing is, you guys remember the Marshawn Lynch run that he had, or he did commentary for the Marshawn Lynch Beast Mode run, and Darren Sharper's there again. Like, that's what's crazy. The guy did his own play-by-play version of the Marshawn Lynch Beast Mode run. Go look this up, my God. And I don't care how many times I watch it, that shit's still funny, dude. And his play-by-play for that is so on point. It's genius level stuff, man. And that's the crazy. Darren Sharper's in that one too. Like, that's what's crazy. I'm like, what?
You can't escape it.
Darren Sharper, the hottest hitting safety in the league.
It's so great, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, see, all you guys out there, video games aren't bad. Sometimes you can learn stuff from. You can learn a little bit from video games. Madden's okay. James, I did have one thing, because I've been following you for a while. I've been, and I don't want to end the show without talking about this, because I was going to try to interview you, but during the NFL season, it gets kind of crazy. But I did see, because quarantine kept us all in our house. COVID kept us all in our house. I saw, it's been a while. It's probably been last summer, I think. You and your daughter built a popsicle bridge.
Yeah.
A popsicle bridge.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to remember how much weight that popsicle bridge held. Do you remember?
I want to say it was like 50 pounds, I think. I think it was like 50 some odd pounds, man. And like we were like shocked because we were like, first of all, I was asking Twitter, I'm like, hey, yo, like, how much do you guys think this is gonna hold? You know, like I put a poll out there. I think most people said it was gonna hold like less than 15. And I was like, I don't even think it's gonna hold 15. Like, dude, this thing, look at this thing. It's like kind of wobbly. Like, and I was thinking like less than 10. So we started off, it's funny because like we started off with like 1 pound. And we're like, all right, I hope it doesn't break. And we just kept racking it up, bro. It was crazy. I was like, I can't believe this is holding this much weight. I forgot what it ended up on, but it was like something like 50 or 56 pounds or something, man. It was nuts, dude. I was like, yo, this thing, I'm like a little glue and a little like some popsicles and stuff. I'm like, yo, this thing is holding up, man. I was actually shocked.
You know where that would go viral also? TikTok.
True.
100%. That's exactly the content that goes viral on TikTok. So,
Doesn't need another. He's good. He's fine. He doesn't need more social media.
Golly. You know what's funny? I've actually put that on Instagram stories. You know, like I probably should have just like mashed it all up and put it on Instagram, like legit. You know, maybe that would have gone viral too. I don't know, but that was just on my stories. I think that's crazy.
Popsicle Bridges by James Coe.
And put the whole line of accomplishments after that too.
I just remember watching it and I was like excited, like, oh, okay, he's going 15 pounds here. Let's go. Here we go. But,
Isn't that weird too? Like that's what, like a lot of people told me that. People were like, yo, like they were invested in the story, And it's like, it's crazy.
My wife's all, hey, let's go to dinner. And I'm like, no, James is going to break a bridge. I got to sit here. I got to watch
it. That's great.
And then she's, we got the whole family sitting around watching now. Calling all our brothers.
That's legit.
Turn it on.
That's legit.
He's at 35 pounds now. We're going.
So great, man. It was legit.
But yeah, I appreciate the time and coming on here. James Coe, if you guys want to see him at James Coe, is it at James D Coe?
That's right, at James D Coe. Last name spelled K-O-H. Twitter and Instagram. Follow me up.
Hey, it's been a great time, and we always end the show like this. So James, you entered the Warzone and you did great, and I appreciate it all the time and all the conversations that we had. Mike. All right, James, first, you're welcome back anytime. Mike, on the other hand,
hey,
he can leave. Like, Mike, I'll see you on Friday night.
I'll see you guys. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on.